Imagine this. A hard-working plumber pours 13 years into raising his stepdaughter, calling her his own, only for her to spit in his face at a backyard barbecue in front of all his buddies. "You're not my dad. You're just the guy with the wallet." His wife, instead of backing him up, she snaps, "Don't lecture my kid. Go have your own if you want to say." One guy snapped, and his comeback went viral. Does a family like that deserve a do-over? Stick around as the truth crushes the lies. 278 characters. Jake Harlan had clawed his way up from nothing in the dusty suburbs of Dallas, Texas. At 42, he ran a thriving plumbing outfit with his brother Tom, the kind of business that started in a beat-up van and now handled big jobs for half the neighborhood. By age 28, Jake had socked away enough to snag a solid 3-bedroom ranch house, mortgage-free, right off the interstate. It wasn't flashy, but it stood as proof of steady grit. No loans hanging over his head, just the satisfaction of tools lined up in the garage and a fridge stocked from honest paychecks. That all shifted one sticky summer evening at a block party barbecue, smoke curling from grills loaded with ribs and brisket. Jake flipped burgers for the crowd when he spotted her, Vivian Reyes, 26, juggling a plate in one hand and her 5-year-old daughter Sophie's tiny fingers in the other. Vivian had split from her deadbeat ex a year back. The guy vanished after Sophie turned toddler age, mailing sporadic $100 checks whenever guilt gnawed at him. She scraped by with part-time shifts at a local daycare, her old Chevy coughing black exhaust every dawn as she hauled Sophie to school. Sophie clung to her mom's leg that night, peeking out with wide curiosity, but no words. Jake crouched down, offering a spare hot dog on a stick. "Hey, kiddo, want to help me build the world's tallest mustard tower?" She giggled, grabbing the bun, and just like that, the ice broke. Vivian watched with a relieved grin, chatting easily about her long shifts and Sophie's love for playground swings. By night's end, Jake had her number scribbled on a napkin, promising to fix that leaky faucet she'd mentioned. They started dating a few weeks later, simple stuff like drive-in movies and picnics by White Rock Lake. Jake showed up with toolkits for her endless home repairs, turning drips into dry floors while Sophie tagged along, handing him wrenches like a pint-sized apprentice. But the real turning point hit 3 months in, on a crisp fall afternoon. Vivian pulled a late shift, so the daycare rang Jake's phone in a panic. Sophie had tumbled off her bike during recess, scraping her knee bad. He figured it was a mix-up. Why him? Until the director explained Vivian had listed him as emergency contact weeks earlier, no discussion. Heart pounding, Jake sped across town, tires screeching into the lot. He burst into the nurse's office to find Sophie huddled on a cot, sniffling hard with a raw gash on her leg, tiny blood trails snaking down. "Easy there, champ," he said, dropping to one knee and pulling out the first aid kit. "Let's turn this scrape into a badge of honor." She wiped her nose, voice wobbly. "It stings a lot." He nodded, dabbing antiseptic gently. "I bet. But tough ones like you bounce back quick. Hold still. Got some superhero bandages incoming." He wrapped on glow-in-the-dark ones with cartoon heroes, then flashed a thumbs up. "Battle ready now. What do you say?" Sophie had the fix, blinked through wet lashes, and whispered clear as day, "Thanks, Dad." The word landed like a gut punch, stealing his breath. He froze, throat tight, managing only a soft, "Anytime, kid." It wasn't just a slip. For her, it was a bridge to safety, a name for the steady guy showing up when others didn't. That evening, Vivian got home exhausted, scooping Sophie into a hug. Jake recounted it over cooling coffee, voice hushed. "She called me Dad today. Like it fit." Vivian's eyes softened, pulling him close. "She's been asking if you'd stick around for good. Guess she decided for herself." From then on, Sophie became Jake's North Star. He hadn't pictured kids in his blueprint, too busy grinding. But this little firecracker rewired everything. By Sophie's 6th birthday bash, Jake and Vivian tied the knot in a backyard ceremony under string lights, the air buzzing with laughter and country tunes. Sophie demanded double duty as flower girl and ring bearer, marching down the aisle with a basket in one hand and a velvet pillow in the other. "This wedding's mine too," she declared, fists on hips like a boss. Guests chuckled, but Jake knelt to her level, serious. "You're right, it is. Welcome to the team, officially." Those early days glowed with routine magic. Saturday mornings kicked off at a corner diner, stacks of fluffy pancakes drowning in syrup as Sophie forked bites and chattered nonstop. "Dad, can we make a treehouse today? A real one, with stairs?" Jake would ruffle her hair. "You got it. Might end up lopsided like my old truck, but we'll call it a fortress." Off they'd go to Home Depot, her small hand swinging his calloused one, picking out lumber and nails for half-baked builds that always sparked her squeals. He started a college fund right after, stashing $50 a week from his cut. Nothing huge, but consistent, aimed at giving her options he never had. Friends ribbed him sometimes. Man, stepping up for another guy's kid? That's next level. Jake just shrugged. She's not another guy's. She's ours. Period. Those bonds felt unbreakable, the kind forged in shared sweat and small wins. Jake taught Sophie to bait a hook during lake trips, her first catch a wriggling bass that had her dancing on the dock. Vivian captured it all on her phone, the three of them a unit against whatever storms rolled in. He covered the basics without fanfare, braces starting at 8, dance recitals with fresh outfits. That beat-up Chevy traded for a reliable SUV so Vivian wouldn't break down on runs. It all built on trust, the quiet certainty that family meant showing up, day in, day out. Little did Jake know, cracks were already forming under the surface, waiting for teenage tempests to split them wide. Years rolled by in a comfortable rhythm for Jake and his blended crew, the Harlan Reyes household humming with the steady pulse of school runs, weeknight tacos, and weekend yard work. Sophie hit her teens without much fanfare, still lighting up at Jake's corny dad jokes during carpool chats. He kept the college stash growing, now tipping past $12,000 by her 13th summer, funneled straight from plumbing gigs that paid in crisp bills. Vivian landed a full-time gig at the daycare's admin desk, easing the money crunch, while Jake's firm with Tom snagged contracts for new builds sprouting up around Dallas. Life felt locked in, until Sophie's freshman year flipped the switch. It started subtle, the way these shifts often do. A slammed locker echoing from the high school pickup line, or her ducking into the back seat without the usual, "How was history?" Jake chalked it up to growing pains, reminding himself every kid tests boundaries. But then came the dinner where she shoveled spaghetti without a glance his way, firing off one-word answers to Vivian's questions. "Pass the salt, Jake," she said offhand, scrolling TikTok instead of meeting his eyes. The request landed flat, stripping away the warmth he'd earned over a decade. He slid the shaker over, masking the sting with a nod, but inside, doubt flickered. Had he missed some sign? Tensions simmered higher during a routine shopping run to Target for back-to-school supplies. Sophie darted ahead to the notebook aisle, stacking glittery journals like treasures. Spotting a pack with holographic covers, she tugged Vivian's sleeve. "Mom, ask Jake to grab these, the sparkly ones. The cheap ones are lame." He stood right there, card in hand, debit card ready. The phrasing twisted like a loose pipe, reducing him to a bystander in his own generosity. Clearing his throat, he kept his tone even. "I can hear you, sophomore. What's the appeal?" She rolled her eyes, not bothering to turn. "Whatever, you know what I mean. It's not a big deal." Vivian shot him a quick glance, mouthing later, but the dismissal hung heavy, planting seeds of resentment in Jake's gut. From there, demands escalated, each one chipping at the foundation he'd laid. Sophie's crew at school rocked high-end sneakers from the mall, so suddenly her old Nikes embarrassed her. Nothing less than $150 Air Jordans would do. Jake negotiated down to a sale pair, but she sulked through the drive home, blasting music to drown him out. The iPhone he'd saved for as a birthday gift? Wrong shade. Jet black instead of rose gold, triggering a huff. You never get it right. Her friends flaunted designer totes from weekend hauls, and soon Sophie echoed the envy. "Why can't I have one like theirs? It's not fair." Jake drew lines, explaining budgets over kitchen talks, but Vivian jumped in every time. "Give her space, hon. She's figuring out who she is. Pushing won't help." He bit back frustration, tracking expenses in a quiet spreadsheet. $300 one month on gear, another $200 for club fees, plus the endless under-the-hood costs like car insurance and doctor copays. A sharper twist arrived unannounced, unearthed from a box in the attic during spring cleaning. Sophie rifled through old mail, pulling out faded envelopes. Those guilty $100 checks from her bio dad, postmarked sporadically over the years. She waved one at dinner, tone laced with curiosity. "He says he's sorry he missed my games. Maybe he gets me better than some people." The comparison sliced deep, implying Jake's efforts fell short of some absent ideal. He set down his fork, voice steady. "Those notes are nice words, but actions count more. I've been at every game, rain or shine." She shrugged, folding the letter away, but the seed took root. Whispers of he'd understand slipped into arguments, framing Jake as the outsider enforcing rules her real parent might skip. The strain peaked over a family movie night gone sideways. Sophie begged for a streaming subscription upgrade to catch her shows, but Jake vetoed it. Bills were stacking from a slow month at the shop. "We stick to basics until things pick up," he said, queuing up a free flick instead. She stormed off mid-scene, yelling from the hall, "You're always saying no, like you even care what I want." Vivian followed, soothing her in whispers, leaving Jake to pause the screen alone. That night, he confided in Tom over beers at the garage, tools scattered from a late fix. "Feels like I'm funding a stranger lately. Where's the kid who built forts with me?" Tom clapped his shoulder. "Teens rewrite rules. Hang tight. She'll circle back." But Jake's ledger told a different story, gratitude fading into entitlement, his role shrinking to provider, while Vivian played buffer, rarely calling out the attitude. Still, glimmers persisted. One rainy afternoon, Sophie knocked on his office door mid-argument cool down, handing over a soggy drawing from art class, a cartoon plumber fixing a busted heart with a wrench. "For you," she mumbled, avoiding his gaze. "Sorry if I'm a pain." Jake pinned it to the wall, pulling her into a quick side hug. "Means a lot, kid. We're good." Those moments fueled his hope, a reminder of the girl who'd claimed him first. Yet the undercurrent pulled stronger, whispers of doubt growing into murmurs. Jake pushed forward, doubling down on the fund, now $15,000 strong, convinced patience would mend the rift. Unseen, the pressure built, coiling toward an eruption that would test every bond he'd forged. Sophie's 15th birthday dawned with Jake buzzing from weeks of secret planning, the garage hiding his big reveal under a tarp. He'd clocked overtime on emergency pipe bursts to afford a used Honda Civic. Low miles, top safety ratings, the sort that wouldn't strand her on dark roads after cheer practice. Wrapping the keys in a plain box with a bow, he pictured her squeal, the hug that might thaw the chill between them. Vivian helped set the table for a low-key cake and ice cream gathering, whispering, "She'll love it. Shows you listen." Jake nodded, clinging to that optimism as guests trickled in. A few shop guys, Tom's family, Sophie's bestie from the squad. The cake candles flickered out amid forced cheers, Sophie blowing them with a half-smile, already eyeing her phone for likes. Jake handed over the box last, heart thumping. "Open this one slow, it's from me." She tore the paper, revealing the fob, then froze. Peering out the window at the silver sedan parked curbside, her expression soured. "A Civic? That's it." The room hushed as she crossed her arms. "My friend Mia's stepdad got her a BMW for her birthday. He actually cares enough to make it special." Jake's jaw tightened, but he kept cool, gesturing to the driveway. "Picked it for reliability. Sophomore crash-tested high, great on gas, keeps you safe on those late drives." She snorted, tossing the keys onto the counter with a clatter. "Safe. That's code for boring. Real dads go for wow factor, not hand-me-down vibes." The jab echoed, her bio dad's shadow looming unspoken. Jake leaned in, voice low to dodge the crowd. "The guy who bailed before you could walk? He hasn't earned real dad status. This is practical, builds toward bigger things." Vivian hovered nearby, shooting him a warning glance, but Sophie fired back louder. "Whatever. You'd never get it." She stomped upstairs, doors slamming like punctuation. The party limped on, awkward small talk filling the void, but Jake's chest knotted tighter with each forced laugh. That exchange lingered like exhaust fumes, tainting the weeks ahead. Jake buried himself in jobs, snaking drains at a strip mall, installing fixtures for a flip house, hoping distance would reset things. But Sophie's barbs sharpened during car rides, her playlist drowning his attempts at chat. "Turn it up, your old country crap ruins everything." He'd gripped the wheel harder, reminding himself of the fund nearing $18,000, a silent bet on her future. Vivian noticed the frost, pulling him aside after a tense grocery haul. "She's hormonal, babe. Don't take it personal. Remember her at 5? Jake squeezed her hand. "Trying, but it's wearing thin." The dam finally burst on a balmy Saturday, grills fired up in the backyard for a casual hang with Jake's crew from the firm. Brats sizzled, coolers clinked with brews, and talk turned to long-term goals amid the haze of charcoal. Tom slapped Jake's back mid-bite. "Heard you're padding that college pot for Soph. Smart move, man. State school's covered easy." Jake grinned, wiping sauce from his chin. "Yeah, $18,000 and climbing. She'll have options without drowning in debt." Laughter rippled, nods of approval from the group, until Sophie sauntered out from the house, earbuds dangling, announcement primed like a grenade. "Actually, scratch that," she blurted, not missing a beat. "Got my acceptance to NYU, early decision." Mom and I sorted the details last week. Pride swelled in her posture, but Jake's fork paused halfway to his mouth. NYU? The elite spot up north, tuition rivaling a luxury lease. Vivian, trailing behind with a pitcher of lemonade, avoided his stare, busying herself with refills. The circle went quiet, eyes flicking between them. Jake set his plate down carefully, forcing a smile. Whoa, that's huge, Soph, congrats. But we gotta crunch numbers. The fund's solid for in-state, not out-of-state private. Let's map a plan after dinner. Her head snapped up, cheeks flushing as she yanked out an earbud. A plan? You mean how to kill my dreams with your penny pinching? Volume cranked, drawing every head from the grill. You're always guilting me over cash, like it's my fault you married into this. If you couldn't swing a real future, why bother? Jake's buddies shifted uncomfortably, beers forgotten, the air thickening with second-hand tension. He stood slowly, palms open. Whoa, easy. This isn't about fault, it's reality. We celebrate the win, then figure funding. But Sophie wasn't done, stepping forward with fire in her step. Figure it? You mean say no, like always. Newsflash, you're not calling shots here. The group froze as she delivered the kill shot, voice slicing clean. Don't act like you own me. You're no dad, just the checkbook guy footing tabs. Gasps rippled softly. One buddy coughed into his fist. Jake's pulse hammered, but he held her gaze, words measured. Checkbook, huh? That covers the roof you're under, the gear in your closet, the ride you just dissed, even this spread tonight. That the angle? She scoffed, waving it off like lint. Before he could pivot, Vivian surged between them, arm linking Sophie's protectively. Back off, Jake. Don't preach at my girl. If family lectures float your boat, go start your own brood. The declaration boomed, a public gut check that iced the yard. Conversations died outright. Tom's wife busied with plates, avoiding the fallout. Jake scanned the faces, pity etched on his closest crew, the ones who'd toasted his step-up stories over years. No ally in Vivian's stance, just her anchoring Sophie like a shield. Humiliation burned hot, but Jake swallowed it, excusing himself with a tight, neat air. He retreated inside, pulse thundering, the screen door slapping shut behind. Upstairs, he paced the spare room, replaying the ambush, Sophie's venom, Vivian's betrayal in front of witnesses. It wasn't a spat anymore. This was demolition, years of investment torched in one outburst. Down below, murmurs resumed, but the vibe stayed fractured, guests trickling out early with mumbled goodbyes. Vivian knocked later, slipping in with apologies lace thin. She didn't mean it. Stress from apps got to her. Jake shook his head, packing a duffel for the couch. Meant enough to say it. And you? Siding against me seals it. Sleep evaded him that night, the house creaking like a warning. By dawn, resolve hardened. No more funding facades or one-sided loyalty. The blow-up marked a fork. Cling to illusions or cut losses. Jake chose the latter, the first step toward reclaiming ground he'd ceded too long. Sunlight sliced through the blinds as Jake stared at his laptop screen. Bank app opened to the college account, $18,000 staring back like an accusation. Fingers hovering over transfer, he hesitated one last beat, replaying the backyard echo, Sophie's dismissal, Vivian's shield. Enough. He initiated the move, routing every dime to his retirement IRA, the confirmation ping sealing the shift. No fanfare, just quiet finality. By noon, he drafted the divorce petition online, citing irreconcilable differences, uploading scans of joint statements to prove his half of the split. The lawyer's office downtown got the email by 2 p.m. A no-fault filing, clean and swift, no alimony grab since Vivian's daycare pay covered basics. Vivian discovered it that evening, bursting into the kitchen mid-coffee refill, papers clutched like evidence. Divorce? Jake, what the hell? This is rash. We talk it out first. Her voice cracked, eyes pleading as she blocked his path to the door. He set the mug down, steady. Talk. Last night was the talk. Your choice to back her over me, in front of everyone. That's not partnership. She grabbed his sleeve, tone dipping urgent. Think of Sophie. She idolized you once. We built this life. You can't bail now. Jake peeled her hand off gently. Built? I funded it, showed up daily, while you enabled the slide. She needs accountability, not enablers. And you? You picked sides. Sophie overheard from the stairs, charging down with fists balled. You're quitting us? Over one fight? We're stuck together. Deal with it. Her shout bounced off cabinets, defiance masking the waver. Jake met her stare level. Stuck? You framed me as outsider, remember? The foot the bills roll you assigned. I filled it till it broke me. Live with your script now. She lunged forward, jabbing a finger. This wrecks everything. Mom, make him stop. Vivian pulled her back, whispering comforts, but Jake shook his head. Wrecked already. Court'll sort assets fair. House sells, proceeds split. No grudges, just done. He grabbed his keys, heading out to Tom's for the night. The door click underscoring the fracture. The next months blurred into procedural grind. Asset inventories, mediator sessions in a sterile conference room where lawyers traded docs like poker chips. Jake vacated to a short-term rental near the shop, a basic one-bed with a hot plate, focusing laser-sharp on work. Tom's firm exploded, landing a subdivision contract for underground lines, crews doubling overnight. Jake poured hours into bids and blueprints, the rhythm therapeutic, dollars stacking for a fresh start. Weekends? Solo hikes in Cedar Ridge, rod and reel at a quiet pond, the tug of a line pulling him from replays. Vivian texted sporadically, updates on Sophie's grades, veiled pleas for reconciliation, but he replied brief, neutral, noted. Handle your end. 5 years accelerated past, Jake's world reshaping without the drag. The business crested 7 figures, letting him snag a 4-bedroom craftsman in a gated Plano enclave, complete with a shop out back for custom fixtures. Dating flickered in, coffee meetups with a realtor named Lena, easy talks over Tex-Mex, but nothing rushed, savoring the peace of solo decisions. No more tiptoeing around moods, just open garage doors and a calendar his own. Tom's visits brought 6-packs and shop talk, the brotherly nod affirming Jake's pivot. You dodged a sinkhole, bro, proud of the rebuild. Then, a sharp rap shattered a lazy Tuesday evening, Jake wiping grease from a valve project at the kitchen island. He swung the door wide to Vivian and Sophie on the stoop, suitcases flanking them like defeated soldiers. Vivian looked hollowed, gripping her purse strap, white-knuckled. Jake, we hit rock bottom. Can we come in? Just to explain. Sophie hung back, arms crossed, gaze fixed on cracked pavement, silence her shield. He leaned against the frame, arms folded. Explain what? 5 years radio silent. Now this? Vivian swallowed hard, words tumbling. Everything crumbled post-split. My second marriage tanked after a year, guy bolted with debts. Sophie's NYU stint? Dropped after 2 semesters, loans piled, no aid. Evicted last month when rent lapsed. The old Chevy? Repoed for missed payments. We're crashing at my cousin's, but it's bursting. Please, help us get steady. Jake's laugh came dry, no mirth. Steady? Like flipping a switch? I'm not a bailout service, Viv. You two scripted that ending years back. His eyes flicked to Sophie, the girl who'd once vaulted into his arms post-soccer wins. Now, she shifted weight, lips pressed thin, no fire left. You declared me irrelevant, he said directly. Actions have echoes. What's the ask? Cash infusion. Roof for a spell? Vivian nodded frantic. Anything. A loan, maybe? Sophie's job hunting, waitress spots, but it's slim. Sophie finally spoke, voice small. I messed up back then. Didn't see till too late. Jake exhaled slow, the pull of old habits warring with fresh scars. But resolve held. Messed up? Understatement. You both chose paths. Mine forked away. Good luck charting yours. He stepped back, hand on the knob. Vivian's plea peaked. Jake, she's still family, blood or not. But he cut in soft. Family earns keep. Yours expired. The door eased shut, latch clicking final. Outside, their voices rose. Vivian's sobs, Sophie's sharp retort, fading as he retreated to the island, pouring a glass of water with steady hands. Texts lit his phone minutes later. Vivian's string of begs. Talk? For old times? He typed once. Old times ended your way. On the fallout. No reply came. The quiet a balm after the intrusion. Relief settled deep that night, sleep coming easy for the first time in ages. No chains, just forward momentum. The life he'd engineered solo, unapologetic and his. Vivian's desperation didn't fade with the slammed door. It amplified online, her Facebook feed turning into a public cry for sympathy. By morning, Jake's notifications buzzed with alerts. A glossy post from her profile, timestamped 2 a.m. A throwback snapshot of toddler Sophie mid-hug around his neck at a park picnic, caption screaming injustice. This man raised her 13 years, then ghosted when life got tough. Cash trumped commitment every time. Who's with us? Shares spiked quick, her circle piling on. Heartless, deadbeat vibes, prayers for you too. Jake scrolled through the pile-on, thumb pausing on vitriol from old acquaintances, the narrative twisting his sacrifices into selfishness. He could have ignored it, let the echo chamber spin. But the lies gnawed, eroding the peace he'd clawed back. Over lunch at the shop, sandwich half-eaten amid blueprints, Tom scrolled the same thread, brow furrowed. She's painting you as the villain, man. Your move? Jake drained his soda, resolve clicking. Time to balance the scale. That afternoon, he fired up his phone's recorder in the truck cab, voice calm as he laid it bare. The scrape knee call-out, the dad whisper that hooked him, years of deposits into the fund while dodging the bio-dad's crumbs. I stepped up, no blood tie needed. But when respect vanished, so did the role. Vivian chose her over us, every clash. He attached scans, bank trails for orthodontist pulls, recital tickets, that civic title in her name. No rage, just facts stacked like invoices. Uploading to a throwaway TikTok account, Plumber's Ledger. He hit post with a shrug. By dinner, views climbed to thousands, comments flipping the script. Receipts don't lie. Sounds like you bent over backward. Entitlement alert on her end. Vivian's thread deflated overnight, deletions frantic as backlash mounted. Her pleas shifted to DMs. Take it down. You're ruining us. Jake replied once. Truth ruins nothing. It clears air. Handle your narrative. Silence followed, the digital storm settling into awkward mutters among mutuals. Word rippled through Dallas circles faster than a leak. Vivian pink-slipped from the daycare gig after a parent complaint tied to the drama, her second husband's alimony drying up amid the mess. Sophie's NYU credits? Cashed out worthless when deferments failed, forcing her into barista shifts at a chain-off I-35, apron strings pulling double duties. Eviction notices piled, landing them in Vivian's cousin's spare room, a cramped setup with air mattresses and borrowed Wi-Fi. Tom dropped by the house one dusk, cooler swinging, boots thudding on the porch boards. Latest scoop. Folks who jump to her defense? Ghosting now. Truth serum works wonders. Jake cracked a beer, leaning on the rail as cicadas kicked up. Not gloating, just exhaling. Carried that weight solo too long. Tom nodded, swigging deep. Parenting's relay, not solo sprint. You pass the baton with lessons intact. Home when none. Stability amid chaos. Her fumble? That's the game's risk. The words landed solid, dissolving the last knot of self-doubt Jake nursed in quiet hours. No more what-ifs about tougher love or endless grace. He delivered his share, the rest her race to run. That exchange reframed the ache into acceptance, the sunset casting long shadows he finally stepped from. Another 5 years blurred forward, Jake's path diverging clean. The firm franchised, Tom's input key to scaling ops across North Texas. Jake's cut funding a cabin retreat near Lake Ray Roberts. Weekends with rodcasts and bonfire chats. Lena now a fixture, her laugh blending with his. No kids on horizon, but mentorship filled gaps, sponsoring apprentices from the trade school, guiding their first solo installs with the same steady hand Sophie once gripped. Fate looped back unbidden on a crisp fall errand. Jake emerging from a hardware run with PVC coils underarm, receipt flapping in the breeze. Across the lot, through plate glass of a bustling diner, Sophie balanced trays, steam rising from plates, orders clipped to her hip notepad. She moved mechanical, shoulders slumped under the load, refills sloshed without spill but zero spark. A far cry from the spark plug kid who'd commandeered his toolbox for magic fixes. Their eyes locked mid-stride, hers widening in freeze frame, tray hovering mid-air as recognition hit like brakes. For a suspended beat, the clatter of cutlery dulled. She parted lips, breath caught, perhaps gearing for sorry or wait, the bridge she'd burned begging rebuild. Jake held the stare, pulse steady, no rush to bridge or bolt. She didn't budge, rooted by the counter, the weight of elapsed choices pinning her. He dipped his chin in bare acknowledgement, civil, detached, then pivoted to his truck, coils thumping into the bed. Engine rumble carried him off. No backward glance. The encounter a closed loop rather than fresh wound. That nod marked endpoint. He'd offered roots once, deep and willing. She'd uprooted them willful. Freedom tasted earned now, unburdened by ghosts. Lesson etched clear. Bonds demand mutual guard, or they fray to threads. Jake drove home to Lena's waiting pot roast, the road ahead wide open. Hey folks, what hits you here? Tough love or clean break? Drop thoughts below, smash like if justice served, share with a crew needing this, and sub for more real talk tales. See you next.